Has everybody been to the first one or the first, or there
I
two?
missed the first one.
Okay. And they kind of build on each other, but it's okay. I mean, it will be perfectly fine. So, okay, so today is marketing, and we're going to be talking specifically about the differences in marketing, which is funny because we talked about some of this in business planning clinic when I was going over this. I was like, wow, just saw this material. And then we're going to do a couple of pieces in command. So just to kind of walk through, do it all. Tina, I know you're like very well versed in all of that, so not too concerned about it. So we'll see. Okay, let's see if this clicker works. They assured me it did, but that doesn't mean. Okay, so I'm not getting that. So let's try the mouse. That worked. Okay, so what we're talking about are two different things. And this is probably, okay, not probably, this is the number one issue that I have with the agents that I consult and coach with. Because they have a very difficult time differentiating between growing their business and running their business. Because most agents think that those are the same things. And they are not the same things. So when we talk about growing your business, that's actually when you're truly lead generating, truly talking to people, having those conversations, versus when you're running a business, and that's the marketing part of it, right? So I think we all enjoy, I shouldn't say all, most of us tend to enjoy the running the business more than we do the actual growing activities. So please just try when you are scheduling your day or you're in the middle of things, really try to be cognizant of, okay, what I'm doing right now? Is this growing it or am I running it? Because agents tend to spend more of their time running it, and that's how we end up with these gaps in business, right? They'll have like 4 or 5 closings in a row, and then it's a ghost town because we're all really, really good at running it, communicating to the client, taking care of all the phone calls, answering all the emails, making the new flyers, yada, yada, yada. But the growing it part is where we tend to get off course. So growing it, working on your seller presentations and your buyer presentations. We're going to take a look at those in command today, just so you can see where they are and how to mess around with them and play with them and make them your own. Previewing real estate, you all, that piece is critical. And please don't think that you have to physically go to every house. It doesn't hurt to go and look at houses, but when just to take a look every morning at the new listings that are on the market or things that have expired or things that have sold. And I mean, for me, I just did a thing of, I wanted to make sure that I really understood 10 properties a week. So it was 2 a day. Because when you go to sit down in a listing appointment, they know what homes in their neighborhood have sold for. They know what their neighbors did to that house to get it to sell. They know, and you better not walk into that appointment with them knowing more than you do. And it has happened to me before, where they immediately start spouting off, something that their neighbor did or whatever. And I'm like, oh, hold on, let me check. And I knew the comps, the general comps, but I hadn't gone through every single room of that house and really paid attention to the marketing remarks of when things happened and all that. And they knew. So when it says preview real estate, that's really what it means. It's just to have a deeper, stronger understanding of what else is out there. Running comps is one thing, but really knowing the market is another, and understanding, oh, in this neighborhood, they tend to go this quickly, or in that neighborhood, people like to overprice, and they do, but they eventually sell. They take a little longer. Every town has those neighborhoods, right? So, but it's reading that or doing the research, not necessarily reading, but just understanding it at a deeper level is all I can really say. So for me, that was just, I needed to see 2 houses every day. It always turned into more. That was just my goal, was to get up every morning, look at the MLS, and just really understand 2 new listings that came on or 2 homes that just sold. So then when you talk about running your business, that's when you're out around, doing all the things to make the deal close. So just remember that. So I'm showing houses, I'm negotiating contracts, transaction management, talking to your vendors, like your home inspectors and your pest inspectors and all that kind of stuff. So all of those things are running the business. And we just spend so much more time over there than we do over here. So when we talk about marketing, well, let's just go on over here and see what we got here. Okay. Marketing for me is something that you need to think of as just enhances the business you already have. So instead of thinking, okay, how can I get myself out there? Because a lot of people will say, or I've had realtors come to me and say, oh, I'm going to get a billboard. I'm going to, wrap my car. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And all those things are great marketing if people already know who you are. If they don't know who you are, a billboard isn't really going to help them get to know you any better. It's a nice layering piece, right? If I've already seen Holly do like an activity in my neighborhood or have some type of event in my neighborhood, and she's maybe listed a couple of houses and I've seen her signs, or and I've seen her face that way, and then I see a billboard, well, that means a whole lot more. Right now she has its validity that comes with that. Whereas if I've never laid eyes on anyone before and then I just see a billboard, and it happens a lot for me in Lexington because I know most of the agents there, right? And I'm in relationship with all of them. I've either recruited them or tried to recruit them or worked with them or whatever. So I know a lot of the agents. So when I see a billboard go up and it's a face I've never seen before, I'm like, stop. That is not how you grow your business. You need to start on the front end doing something a little bit different. And then after you have a little bit of stability and validity, then you can move to the big billboards and all that fun stuff. So these are the things we're going to touch on today. We may not get through every single thing. Let me see if I can get this to move up so I can see who else is on here. So I'll just try to put it up top. So we'll get it. But we're going to talk about how to think a little bit more deeply about marketing. And then we're going to actually create a post and do a couple of marketing materials. And then we're going to do a little bit of a recap. So we're going to do some fun things in here. So for those of you, I'm looking on here now and I realize we have some folks from Excel on. So I'm Kim Buckner. I'm the team leader over here at Capital Partners. And I will be here until the end of the month. And then I will be consulting and doing some coaching and stuff for the office still. I just will not be in the team leader role. So sorry for not introducing myself in the beginning. I just forget about the people up there in Zoom world. So I love this graphic. We showed this in Business Planning Clinic because it really, for me, visualizes the differences between marketing and prospecting. And so the reason that triangle is the way that it is you have to build your business on the prospecting end. So it's like when agents will join us, and I mean, literally one of the main questions that I used to get all the time was, how quickly can I get my business cards? When can I get my business cards? And I want to say, that's not really, who are you going to give them to? Right? Like that's not your main focus. Your main focus right now is talk to as many people, be in conversation with as many people as you possibly can, touch as many people as you possibly can appropriately, and let them know that you are in real estate and what you do, right? What you have to offer. So on that note, really quickly, some of you who are newer, you bring a wealth of knowledge and experience with you into this profession. So please don't think, oh, I'm new. People aren't going to want to work with me because I'm new. They want to work with someone that sold, 100 houses or whatever. And that may be, for some people, right? That may be an advantage. But I need for you to really focus on the fact that so many things are changing right now. And especially with what we have as far as online tools, marketing tools, social media, all of those things, it has changed the game. So you can have someone that has been in this business for 25 years and they've sold hundreds of homes and they refuse to change and adapt to what's going on now. And you can have a new person that just starts today and starts to engage and adopt all of these tools, and they will annihilate the people that don't want to change. So you're always going to have your tried and true, that core of people that will still refer you business or call you, right? Like that's your family. You're going to have that core, but we're talking about growth and sustainability. And if you want growth and sustainability, we talked about in Business Planning Clinic of adding 500 people to your database every single year. Now, that number is going to change a little bit based on your goals, but if you aren't adding 500 people to your database every year, well, then you aren't going to sell any more real estate. If you're lucky, you're just going to sell the same amount of real estate over and over and over. You're never going to sell more. So that's the difference when we talk about marketing and prospecting. So the prospecting part, yes, we want to have immediate results with that. That's phenomenal because a lot of times in those conversations, something can happen super quick. And in marketing, like we talked about with the billboard, that's going to be a much more long-term result. So I find that agents want to throw money at things because it's a little easier than having the conversations or doing the work or digging in. And they aren't going to get the same results as they would if they were to just dig in and do.
Is this being recorded?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
I just had 2 people send me a text and say it's being recorded.
Yeah, I won't say any bad words. I'm going to watch myself today. So, so we're talking about marketing. Just before, I want to talk about this for just a second. What are some examples of marketing that you've seen? And it doesn't have to be just in real estate. What are just some examples of marketing that when you see something, you're like, oh, that's a neat marketing piece?
Social media.
Social media? YouTube?
When I'm at the grocery store and I see the grocery cart and then also the things that go down, to separate the
to divide.
groceries,
Mhm.
the divider, I think that's really cool.
What else?
Sponsorship of like local teams.
Sponsorship.
What do you say? Sponsorship?
Sponsorships of teams.
Yeah, like local like youth athletic teams and things like that.
Love it.
Events.
Yeah, events.
Events, and let's talk about events for just a second. Let's see who's up here. Who we have up here?
Sue.
Oh, was that Sue? Okay. So, let's see if we have. I think it's great. I think it's.
I don't think it necessarily on the events. You don't have to necessarily put the whole thing on, but you could, even in your neighborhood, if your neighborhood has an event or something, you can sponsor a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the thing is right now, anything that you do, I'm gonna see if I can turn this up. Okay, I'm not gonna mess with this. We'll see if this helps. Anything that you do right now is gonna be pretty special because people are they have those things at sort of a standstill, right? So now it's a matter of, okay, what can I do to have some type of participation? So, like for instance, we used to do movie nights or movie mornings or whatever, where we would rent out a movie theater, and then we would, whatever, it'd be like the Aladdin premiere we did. And what was the other one we did? Frozen 2. And so now, I mean, what about like a drive-in event? So you can still do things, just do them a little bit differently. But I love events. I love them. You can get sponsors to pay for nearly all of it. So you don't have to pay for all of it yourself. It's face-to-face contact. People see you. They post things about it on social media. Like, I love events. You talk about the most bang for your buck. I would literally do one of those every month if it wasn't just ridiculous. I mean, because they're hands down my favorite thing. So, and everybody has their own thing, right? That's their favorite thing. But just be cognizant of those types of, different types of marketing and what it is that you really love. What resonates most with you that you're going to do, because whatever you're going to do, you just want to make sure that you're doing it consistently. Okay, so prospecting. This was something that we talked about again in business planning clinic, and some different things that we can do to prospect and what that looks like. And I'm going to reduce these guys back down just a little bit again so we can see the screen. And so when we talk about the difference between prospecting and marketing, what those things are. Has anybody ever been to the ALC clinic with Bruce Hardy? And he talks about this guy that did this radio ad. And I have it recorded somewhere. I'll have to try to find it. And he did this radio ad, which is marketing, right? And he talked about how if he couldn't sell your house, he would buy it. And he had all these programs and loans or whatever that he didn't technically buy it, but they would buy it. But anyway, it was just a quick little 20-second spot. And Bruce talks about how he lived in a different part of the country. And so he literally just verbatim repeated that script and did it. And it blew his business up. So again, a different time, a different place. I think things are very different, but it's just a matter of finding that one thing that's going to be the thing that gets you out there. So when you talk about how you're going to do all these things, please don't look at prospecting and think, oh my gosh, I've got to do all 10 of those things, which are really like 20 things over there if you look at that column. But go down through there and see which ones you really love. Like, what are the things you love to do the most? If I were you, I would go down through this list and I would put them in order of the things I love to do all the way down to the things that I hate to do. So I would kind of reorder that list, because for me, it messes with me mentally if I see something up towards the top that I really don't want to do. And I'm like, eh. Like FSBOs are just not my favorite thing. And there are some people that love FSBOs because they're like, oh, they're literally advertising, telling you they want to sell their house. And I feel like, again, my little drunk monkey that talks to me says, oh, 1 million people have called them, harassed them, bothered them. And that's just not really my thing. So that's an area of opportunity for me, right? But that's how I feel about it. So that would probably go closer, towards the end of the list. Circle prospecting. When you talk about neighborhoods, think of your own neighborhood. Are you on the HOA? Do you sponsor any of the cleaning of the front of the neighborhood, or, when they do Earth Day and sponsoring something in the neighborhood where everybody gets together and cleans up, or weeds or whatever, right? Like, be creative about some of the things that you do. For me personally, it's as much face-to-face as I can possibly get. Like, that is going to get me more bang for my buck every single time. And sometimes seeing your face is not necessarily physically in person seeing your face. And we'll talk about that in a little bit too. Has anybody tried anything up here? Like, when you look at this, what are some things that you've tried that you'd be willing to share your experience with? Is anybody door knock? Or I'm not a door knocker. Has anybody ever tried, when you see circle prospecting? So for instance, recently sold listings, of taking, when you have multiple offers on a property, printing out those offers and blacking out the private information on them, right? You want to keep the prices on there and all that, but blocking out the private information and literally door knocking that neighborhood and saying, I just listed the house on, 123 Main Street, and these are all of the offers that we got on that house. So these are all the people that want to live in this neighborhood that can't find a house in this neighborhood. Are you thinking about selling your house? And it's just a conversation, right? They may not want to sell it right then, but the fact that you took the initiative to go in and have that conversation with them and show them, right? Like, so many of us, we get multiple offers and we close it down and that's it. We're good, right? We move on. It's like, how can you leverage something you already have right there in your hands? So that's an example. What else?
So when you circle prospect, do you circle prospect for only your listings, or like if there's a neighborhood that you just really like and anything that's sold, do you do it in that neighborhood?
It would depend. So for instance, like if I had a buyer and we were in a multiple offer situation and we didn't get the house, absolutely. I'm going to do some type of an ad, a postcard, something out to those people that says, I have someone that wants to live in your neighborhood.
Okay.
And it's literally just a little, sometimes you'll see agents that'll put posts up about, I have a buyer looking for X, but it's really, if you just do the cute little, and you can even make it on designs where if you do like a landing page, it doesn't have to technically be a landing page, you can print it out, but you can use it to draw in all the things, because I love how it has the little house graphic and the shower graphic and the bed so it shows all the, it's just a cute little breakdown. So that's something that's nice to share with a specific neighborhood. I mean, there's all types of things you can do. To me, there's really no wrong way. I think you have to be careful about not stepping on toes and making sure that you're doing everything within compliance and being courteous, right? So I think there are some of those social etiquette that we have to take into consideration. But what are some other things?
Kim,
Yes.
so I can share one thing that we used to do. We're reinstituting it because it doesn't cost a lot of money, but we're doing, when we get a listing, we're trying to have a 2-hour open house for neighbors only.
Yep.
And so we walk the neighborhood with flyers about it, and that way you get to meet the neighbors and maybe add them to your database, and so you accomplish a lot of things that way. We kind of call it the sneak preview. Like if
Yeah.
we're gonna hold it open for the public on Sunday, we might do a Saturday open house for the neighbors. So we used to do it all the time, and we got away from it because of the time constraints, and all it costs you is your time. So
Yeah. Oh, I love that. For us, we put listings on, do what?
a great way to market to a neighborhood.
Well, it is. And so for me, when I'm thinking about putting a listing on, I am marketing for other listings. That's what my open house is for, is I am trying to get other listings. I feel like a lot of buyers now already have realtors. If someone does show up that doesn't have a realtor, well, that's great. But we are putting on a show, a display of what we do to sell your home. And we do it so big that I want, the neighbors to know what we're doing. And if another agent comes to them and they're like, wait, you don't do that? Like, that's literally my only objective when I go in for an open house. So we list a home on Wednesday. We don't allow any showings until the open house on Thursday. So that way it's had time to get into everyone's portals. Everyone has seen it. It's syndicated everywhere. But we don't allow any showings. And so the open house is 5 to 7. And we do a neighbor only preview from 4 to 5. So we do canvas to let people know about the 4 to 5. We do the targeted ads out to just the neighborhood. We have the homeowner post a flyer that goes out on the neighborhood page to tell people they can come. So we do a food truck, and we have music and, fun stuff. And now it's like very different. We have like red X's that we put out everywhere to make sure people stay away from each other. And we have to tag team a little more to make sure there's not ever more than 10 people in the house, and, some different things. But that's just always been our strategy. And what happens is when people start to come, they're literally lined up, because for 24 hours, you know how the market is. So for 24 hours, we've not allowed any showings. And in a 2-hour window, everyone that wants to see that house is coming to see that house. And it's literally like, you can see the looks on their faces when they pull up and they see all the cars, and they're just like, and it just instantly provides this like FOMO. Everybody goes into that emotional, I want to win thing. And it just gets it sold quick. So I think it would probably sell pretty quickly on its own anyway. But it's just like Sue said, it's just your time. Right. So it's how calculated am I going to be about this, and how organized. When I first got in the business and I did open houses, I was literally that person rolling in on 2 wheels on Sunday at 5 till 2, because I was having an open house from 2 to 4, and I'm like throwing signs up on my way. I just wasn't really smart about how I did it. I just was doing it because I felt like I was fulfilling something for the sellers, and I wasn't leveraging that to get as much business as I could. And so then my next step was, okay, well, I want to pick up as many buyers as I can. And so that was really our ultimate goal when we did open houses. And now I'm just marketing for other listings. So that's like the full, thought process behind all of it. So there are lots of things there that you can do. Direct mail. I don't think that direct mail is at all I think it's a lost art. So some people look at that and they go, oh, if that's antiquated, you don't do that. But I think it makes you stand out more. So for instance, the open house thing just for neighbors, just do a mailing to the whole neighborhood with your card in it. And I would do an envelope where I write out a note, please, we would love to see you at our open house, even if it's just all the houses on that street. Excuse me. But something that makes it look a little different. They're going to pick it up and not throw it in the garbage. Like just a little handwritten note. So I love snail mail for certain things.
I find the handwritten note or the handwritten address, because I know when I get stuff like that, I'm at the trash can like this.
Mhm.
A lot of it I don't even look
I'm
at.
the exact same way. And that's why with our postcards, we did those big glossy postcards. They were like huge. I brought it in here for business planning clinic, but they're like these really big postcards. And so if we had 2 or 3 houses that we had sold in the same neighborhood, we would put them all on there, and then we put a picture of our team on the back and picture of the vendors that helped us or whatever. And it was like the thick, glossy, this big postcard. because I know it's going in the garbage, but I want to look really good going in the garbage. You know, I wanted them like when it was in their hand, it feels different, the size is different. I want them to look at that and be like, wow, that's fancy, Chuck. You know, I mean, that, and knowing that when you go into it with that mentality, and you get sponsors for things like that. And so if you're only spending $100 to mail something out to 800 people, I don't mind doing that to get myself out there and go in the garbage. It's okay. But yeah, there are some really amazing things that you can do here. The community outreach and the volunteer work. I mean, those are things that if you just stay consistent and be the person, and if you're already passionate about that kind of thing, people pick up on that. You know, you don't have to go and advertise, I'm a realtor. But you know, do the things that you love. I'm a firm believer in that. I think that if I sat here and told you, go and knock doors, and I'm just talking about the things that are unappealing to me. Please don't judge. You all do what you want to do. But if I came in here and said, okay, the only way for you to ever sell real estate is to make cold calls and door knock, you're probably not going to sell very many houses. You may be able to do that, but you're not going to be able to do it for a sustained period of time, right? Like my daughter just went to work for a health insurance company, and she makes calls in their call center. And I put a post up on our Facebook page about her like a couple weeks ago or whatever, and she loves it. So she basically calls these people and tries to set up appointments for a health provider to come in and try to sell them insurance. And they've somewhere along the way inquired about health insurance, but she's the person that calls to set up the calls. So she has these shifts, and they're like 5-hour shifts. And she calls me the other night, and keep in mind, she's 18. And she says, okay, so I said, tell me about it. What does your day look like when you go in? She said, well, we go in, you know, first 15, 20 minutes or so, we do script practice, you know, we'll role play back and forth with each other. And then we write down whatever our goal is for the rest of our shift of how many appointments we want to set. And so her shift was 5 hours long. And I said, so how many appointments did you set tonight? And she goes, 8, I hit my goal. And I was like, do you want to come work for me when you go over the break? Do you want to come work for me and set 8 appointments are you kidding me? Yeah, but she loves it. And I said, are people ever mean to you? And she's like, oh my gosh, yeah, all the time. She's like, I had a guy the other day, like called me names and hung up on me. And I was like, sorry, and hung up and went on and called the next person. And I was like, oh, well, okay. I mean, but she likes it. I have no desire to do that. That's not fun. But she likes it. So go for it, you know? And that was exactly why I said to her, do you want to work for me when you come in over the break? Because I know I'm not good at it. And so if it's something that I need done, it still has to get done. So, but my point is when you talk about sustainability and longevity, do the things you love, because you will continue to do that over an extended period of time. Okay. So, they were asking, and let me see, how do you know where the customer is and how do you meet them there? So this is a little bit about being a little more mindful of who you are marketing to. So we're going to talk more about this on Monday from 1 to 3. I am going to be it's going to be a Zoom only because I won't physically be here. My daughter flies in Monday, so I will be doing the workshop. So it's a business planning clinic follow-up workshop. And so one of the things that we do is figuring out who your customer is. And so if you all want now, those of you who have an Instagram page, go ahead and just make it a business page. You can just go into your settings and change it to a business page. It doesn't change your page at all, but you can go in and look at your analytics and you can see, okay, for me, I know the people that are the number one age group that's looking at my posts are my age. They're all like between 40 and 50 years old. The number 2 group, they're like between 30 and 40 years old.
Sorry, I was just trying to do that.
No, you're fine. So those are the 2 groups that I know are mostly looking at my posts. So I'm going to be talking about content that's relevant to those people. So that's what they say by how do you know where the customer is and how do you know how to meet them there, is figuring out who they are. And one of the first things you can do is get on Instagram and figure that out. So I've been doing testing on my page lately. So when you look at it, it's very fragmented and weird things. And because I'm trying to figure out what time of day do people look at things. If I post a reel, what time of day do they look at that? If I post a reel, do I just post it to the Reels feed or do I also post it to my regular feed, right? Like I've just been playing around trying to figure out the algorithms and what the sweet spot's going to be. And it's just going to take you a while. Like it's not something that's going to happen overnight. But so what if it takes you 3 months to figure it out? And then you have that forever, right? So for instance, Reels, And I don't know, well, we'll get into this in a minute, but
So do you go in here where it says switch to professional
Uh-huh,
account? That's
yeah,
all you have to do?
that's all you do.
So,
And then anything that happens on your, like, then go ahead and post something
Okay.
today, and I'll post again tonight, or maybe post tonight and then post something during the day
but
tomorrow.
does personal, so do you still have a personal account and a business account, or now you just have a professional?
Now it's just a professional account, so it doesn't look any different. So if anybody's looking at your page, it still looks exactly how it did before. The only thing that's different now is where now, if you post something on Instagram, you can also share it to Facebook. It won't do that.
You won't do
It
that.
won't do that now because I don't know why, but now it's going to track whatever action is going on Instagram. But that is a great way to figure out who your audience is. So for instance, with regular posts, if I post those at like 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, or like 7 or 8 o'clock at night on a Monday, I get a lot of interaction. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, pretty dead. I don't get a whole lot. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is huge. So that's a regular post. If I'm doing a reel, I can't post that reel until like 11 o'clock at night if I want to have the most views, because you got to think about people in different time zones that are looking at that. And I know you're thinking, well, why do I care what people in different time zones think? Because if they're in a different time zone, they're not going to buy a house from me. That's not the point. The point is, how many followers can you get? How far can you spread your net of people that know about you or see you? And that gives you relevance. So as that starts to happen and you get pushed up more and more in the search engine, and that's a whole other, we'll talk about more of that on Monday. I could literally sit here and talk for like 6 hours on all that. But so how do you communicate your value proposition? So one of the things when we were talking earlier about ways to advertise, and someone said YouTube. So one of the things that we're doing right now is we're working on a house, and we're like completely renovating, like gutted to the studs, to the floors, everything's out. And so we've been doing things like doing time-lapse videos, or taking pictures and doing before and after and in between, right? Every single thing. Like my phone is a train wreck right now of all the stuff that's on it, because I want to communicate my value proposition. So if you go, and I'll do this again on Monday, but if you go to my Instagram page or my Facebook page or whatever, there's a link tree thing there, and I'll take you all through that. And if we have time today, we'll do it at the end of the day. But what that does is that just links all of your social media platforms into one place. So if someone clicks on that, then they can see all of your other platforms. So like mine is Pinterest, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, right? It's all those things. And so then when they go to my YouTube channel, so maybe we'll put something on a reel that's 15 seconds long or 30 seconds long, but then it will direct them to go to my YouTube channel to watch the full video. So the idea is that you have people traveling across these different mediums, right? And it's a lot of work. And right now, I can't really do it because I don't have the time to do it. So it's been super fragmented and not as purposeful as I would like to see it. But hopefully, throughout December, you'll start to see more. And I know that by me doing that kind of stuff, I can help you all do that kind of stuff. So that's another reason why I want to really be able to focus on that and take some time to really work through it. Because if you take the time to set it all up on the front end and create some type of a system behind it, then all of a sudden it's not as hard, right? Like that's the thing that's crushed me the most about this professional account on Instagram is it was so easy because I could post on Instagram and then it would go to my Facebook stories, it would go to my, Facebook page, whatever. And now I can't do that. It's just in one place and I have to repost it. What? So like I posted something about our wedding anniversary. Our wedding anniversary was on Sunday, and I posted it on Instagram, and I had just forgotten that it doesn't automatically post on Facebook. So on Monday, when I was doing something on Facebook, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't post about our anniversary, because that's something you're going to get a ton of interaction on, right? Like 300 people commented or liked it or whatever. It was a lot of people, right? So I knew I had to get that off there. So it was a day late or whatever I put it up. So just being aware of who your customer is, what they do, how you're going to communicate your value proposition. So for me, these are some tricks and tips that you can do to help sell your home, to increase the value of your home, whether you're thinking about selling it today or tomorrow or whatever. And so for me, that's what I'm going to really focus on.
Kim, I've got a question.
Yeah.
So is the only advantage on the Instagram account, putting it to a professional versus personal, is being able to figure out the demographics of who's?
Yes, and that you can do ads. So if you wanted to boost, like if you put a post up and you wanted to boost that, or if you wanted to create like an Instagram ad or something, you could.
Okay.
So for me, it's worth it. So now I have to go back and double up and do it. I was just really lazy and it was nice that it did everything. But yeah, that's true. So how can you come from contribution? Again, that's kind of what I'm doing as far as making sure it's something that I don't want to come at them like I want you to buy a house or sell a house, right? I want to come at them with value and what I have to offer and my knowledge and my expertise and all the things that I've acquired, doing this over the last 11 years. So how important do you think branding and aesthetic consistency is in your marketing, and how do you achieve it? So one of the things that I did is I went across and I just changed my headshot to the exact same headshot on everything. Like Pinterest, I've had that account forever. So it was like some headshot from, 10 years ago. So I went through and made everything consistent so that whenever they see it, they start to recognize this. Oh, wait, I just saw that here. I saw that there. All right. And how should you follow up with leads generated from your marketing? I love this one because a lot of times the answer is, I don't. What is some luck? What are you guys doing right now with the Facebook ads? How are you all following up with those? Is anybody doing Facebook ads? Okay. Okay, Brian,
Everything I have.
do you mind sharing? Oh, you're muted. The phrase of 2020. You're
There we
on
go.
mute.
So yeah, I'm doing them, but a lot of times you call and it's a fake phone number, I find. So you follow up via email, text, whatever you can. But it's amazing how many people provide false information when you have those up. Then or you do finally reach them. Oh, I didn't mean to click that.
Yeah.
So it definitely is a little frustrating there, and you try and be as cordial as possible. Oh well, if you're not looking, someone else who is. But I'd say 9 times out of 10, it's a fake phone number, and then they don't follow up.
Yeah. Well, and with those, it's a matter of thinking, okay, these are probably a little bit farther out. And we've gotten that before too, where they're like, oh, I didn't mean I clicked on that, or I didn't mean to click on that. Please don't forget, you are targeting these people. So you're putting in there, they've had to look at Zillow or Homes.com or Trulia, like they're looking at houses. They're somewhere looking at something.
Yeah, they click it for you to get that info, but they still claim they didn't.
Right. So, but what we do is we just go ahead and put them in a drip campaign. Like they just go right into a 36 touch and they're going to get emails from us. And if they want to unsubscribe, they can. I mean, we've done it. We had like 150 leads, let's just say. We've had like 2 people unsubscribe. So they may not want to talk to you on the front end. We started out, Brian, we were doing the same thing. So we would call them when we did a Facebook ad. So as soon as that came through, we'd pick up the phone and call. And it was just there was not a lot of love. People were like, what are you talking about? I didn't do, they had no idea. So then we moved it to a text. So now we just have a text that we send out. It's just a canned text. And I need to somehow figure out how to put it in the chat. But anyway, that's what we do now. So we just send that and then we put them on a drip campaign. And if they,
Sorry, I was just going to say, I actually found a lot of success instead of doing the lead form, putting in on my Facebook ads, the messenger direct. And I'm getting more response of people actually very involved because they Facebook message my page directly and I'm responding and I get their information. I'm finding more quality leads that way.
I love that, Samantha. So is that just a setting when you go in on the beginning, how you set it up?
Yeah, the only problem is that you cannot set it up that way through command because I do most of mine through command. So some of them I do directly through Facebook. And when you set up that ad through Facebook, boosting something, like I said, it's not through command, but you can change the setting to a message directly to your page. And so I've actually gotten a couple ads that I've ran both ways where I've gotten those lead form and also doing the messenger. And the lead form, I'm getting no response no matter how I contact them. But if I'm doing the messenger, I get at least 3 or 4, but they're quality leads who are actually interested.
Nice.
Like Facebook ads, or are these like properties you're posting on like Marketplace? Is this still?
No, it's Facebook ads. So I'm actually going onto my Facebook business page, creating a post, and then I boost that post. So I currently have one about National Education Week, and I'm getting a lot of teacher responses from that one.
Oh, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, that's nice. So when you do that, do you ever piggyback them, Samantha? Like, do you do a command ad and then also do it on Facebook just to kind of see the differences?
I will, just to see the numbers And that's, I mean, my campaign, my marketing is pretty much all Facebook ads. That's something that I I do a lot of. And I find that Command is more useful for certain things like properties. But when it comes to finding people directly, I think having a specific post on Facebook and boosting it and having that messenger feedback has been more successful.
Yeah, that's
Because
great.
people don't want to give their personal information and they want answers and contact now. So if they're able to just message the company, they feel more comfortable reaching out, I think.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
I think the one thing that I do, Kim, is I'm in an open house every weekend, no matter what. And so when people sign in, I take cards with me to my open house. So if somebody came in and they put their address down, I immediately write a thank you note and say, thank you for stopping in at my open house at such and such. I get a lot of people calling me back and say, that house really wasn't for me, but I am looking for something like this, whatever. If they have a phone number, I immediately text them that night and say, thank you so much for coming to my open house today.
That's perfect.
Automatically. And I mean,
But that's follow-up, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about
Yeah.
lead follow-up. That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
That's a great example. So when we talk about, this basically is talking about the take action part of how we're going to get into it and create and what we're going to do. So we are going to talk about some design options, and I'm having to minimize you guys, so I'm sorry that it's just stuck on Bill Biddinghoff in here. But let me do it that way. So just the different templates. Has everybody had the opportunity to go in and kind of play with it and see where things are and all that kind of stuff? So it has gotten to be a bit more user friendly. I feel like they're making some tweaks all the time. But the thing is, all of this stuff is beautiful. And when we talk about consistency, on Monday, we'll get into a little bit more of filters and things that you can do to have a little bit more consistent look on your page. But this is very consistent, right? Like all the pieces are different and they still have a similar aesthetic so that when you're putting things out there, you have this consistency in your marketing. So it matters. I mean, I know people that sit down and they block out their posts based on positioning of how it's going to look on their page. I don't do that. You know, some people do, right? They're like, if they're a real influencer and that's what they're doing and they're getting into that, they do it. I don't. But I do believe in consistency and marketing. So we're going to go through and talk about a couple of these pieces. Okay, so this is a piece that this group made. And what do you think it's for? What do you think the purpose of this marketing piece is for? An invitation to a library. To have a conference, a teaching. Okay. And you said open house. What else? When you look at it right away, what do you think?
busy.
Okay.
Very busy. I would never think that that was
And is that like the best
picture.
with that
like
big
what
couch?
Looks you're looking at a brick wall, you're looking at a stained glass window.
Right.
Way too much.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think was the intended audience for this postcard?
People enjoy recliners.
So, what do you think? Okay, so first of all, just hearing those two things, hopefully that will make you more aware when you're putting together a marketing piece of what it needs to look like. Okay, so whether we're talking about, we heard busy, we don't really know what this really even is, couches, you know, so if you're trying to market this home and you're looking for its best feature and it doesn't have any, then I may not even put anything about the house on it. It would just be a big flyer with the open house and the address or time and date, whatever, right? Like you can get creative around that. So what would you all do? If you were gonna make improvements to this, what would you do? Yeah.
That's what my eye is. Maybe this pan's out of the kitchen. I would focus on one area or one thing, not 1, 2, 3, rooms. I mean, you got 3 rooms here, but you have so much stuff. Yeah, the cleaner the picture, the better to focus on exactly what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well,
Adelaide,
and this mindset is generally, I want to fit as much stuff in
Yes.
this picture as I can to show people, but that's defeating the purpose.
Sometimes less is more because you want people to come in, so give them the most exciting thing first, less, and then have them come in to see what other excitement is in the house.
Okay, so the thing that the question they've asked here is, what method of marketing could be used to reach the audience intended for this piece? Well, I don't know that we even really know the audience that's intended for this piece because it's just kind of was just thrown together. So the reason that I really wanted to go over this, because I do this a few times, but the reason that I really wanted to go over this was for you to go, oh my gosh, I've done that before. Or, oh, I maybe haven't thought that much about it when I put something together. I'm just trying to put out an open house flyer and I wasn't really, thinking about who the audience was or what I'm trying to say to the audience or what I'm trying to, convey, what message I'm trying to send out there. So, let's look at this next one and see what you think about it. I hate You hate what? I hate that. So what do you think is the purpose of this marketing piece?
You're up in an airplane looking down. Showing
Okay.
the neighborhood.
Okay, showing a neighborhood.
Like a market snapshot for the neighborhood?
Do what?
Maybe a market snapshot to the neighborhood, geographic kind of farming?
Okay.
the thing is, there's nothing to indicate what neighborhood that really is. Like, if you're gonna make it for Gem Heights, there should be something really identifying that it's Gem Heights.
Agreed. So,
I look at it.
Heard of the photo or part of the photo with our Heartlink homes.
I know, yeah,
I mean, I have a pool.
yeah, get a pool for $362,000.
I live in this neighborhood. Yeah, it's affordable for what it appears to be.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that total pending, 26 houses are pending in that neighborhood.
That's what stood out
Yeah.
to me.
Like those things are selling, right? Like those houses are selling. Who do you think the audience is? Trying to sell to this group here. Who's the audience? Pools and tennis courts. Families?
40 to 50.
What?
40 to 50,
40 to 50-year-olds?
Empty nesters, maybe trying to get sellers.
Did you say investors?
Empty nesters, maybe like sellers.
Empty nesters. So again, and I like, it says, things are heating up in Gem Heights. So I get what they're trying to do here. They're trying to show that things are moving and shaking and, it's going really quickly.
Good time to get your house in the market if you live there.
Yeah, yeah. So I love that, but what could you have done differently? You wanted to improve this piece and you're trying to show homes in the neighborhood are selling quick.
There's no call to action.
Yeah, there's not a call to action.
Yeah.
So if I were trying to show what was going on, I may have over here on the right side, maybe 4 homes, just, a row of 4 different houses in the neighborhood with a big sold in 2 days, sold in 3 days, sold whatever, right over top of them, right? It shows how quickly things are moving. And then, that would be fine. Things are heating up in Gem Heights. Come see which pool you like best. Whatever, like something, some type of a call to action of what that looks like. But yeah, so just try to be a little more, what do you think? So just seeing these things, what are some things that you want to keep in mind now when you're creating marketing pieces?
I think you need to be specific.
Yeah. Yeah, be super specific instead of, because what we try to do is cast that net really big, right? We try to, I want 10,000 people to look at this postcard. Well, that's not gonna do us any good. If you really just focus on the 200 people that really need to see that postcard, you're much more likely to get something out of that. It's just like Samantha was saying with those ads, right? She's getting a much more quality lead doing something a little different. Okay. Here's one. It's all in the details. What do you think is the purpose of this postcard?
Not a lot of detail.
It's not a lot of detail.
Well, and it's the properties aren't really anything in common. One is covering the price and what it was even listed for, and one's vacant land. They're not, one buyer isn't going to be looking at like probably the different options there.
So I don't know if these are their properties that they're advertising. I'm not sure why they would put the pending home on there. It's very confusing to me. So when I look at this, I'm like, it's just confusing. I don't even know what this is. So if it were me, and I mean, well, I'm not gonna say anything right now. Who do you think the intended audience is for this piece?
Sellers, people that would want to possibly sell their home, because it's just listed pending.
Okay. So if you're looking at an open lot,
I think a older person, me personally, I think you got a 1-car garage.
yeah,
So somebody that doesn't have 3 cars or a bunch of kids that have cars,
yeah.
the house on that's pending is very small. I don't know what they were thinking there.
So what if you were to, so the one in the middle, let's just take that. So that's like a vacant lot. So the first thing that I would do if I had that listed, if you're just looking at that picture, what's the very first thing you would do before you did any marketing on that lot?
Clean it up.
Have it cleared up.
Yeah, clean it up a lot.
Get somebody to go in there and cut that thing down. It's, yeah, I mean, it may cost $100. Like, I don't know, but do it.
Just mow it straight down.
You know, have that done, clear that lot. Then you can do a really cool marketing piece on, would you like to build your own dream home from scratch, right? Like do some kind of a cool home building graphic, whatever, with that lot right there. You know, or even have a picture of the lot and have like a framed out house. I don't know how to explain what I'm thinking in my head, but just if you were doing like say a coloring page, you know, like think of a coloring page, it's just like black and white. If you just like superimpose that on top of that and said, you know, what would you build here? Like there are things you could do to be a lot more purposeful about that. And I'm not saying you have to be a marketing executive, but you do need to be a little more purposeful. They've spent money on this. They've either paid someone to fix it, or they've paid to mail it out, or they've paid, you know, to get the addresses to send it to. Like they've spent money on this, and it's kind of a waste. So, and I'm hoping all these are just like made up, because how bad, like
All of them.
yeah.
I mean, they all have specific real estate offices on them, so I sadly don't think they're made up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. And I mean, I have had my photographers know, they know my standard, they know what they want, they know what they need, and they know what I need, and they know that if they don't do it, they're gonna go back and reshoot it.
Me too.
I mean, it has to look a certain way. I mean, it just does. Like they even know now when they go in to do a kitchen shot, because of some of the things we're doing, I need you to take it horizontal, and I need you to take it landscape, and I need you to take it portrait and landscape, right? Like the two.
Because if you virtually stage it,
Yeah.
you need it.
Yeah, or how it's gonna look on social media or whatever I'm doing, right? Like I need you to do those things.
I think the thing on the picture on the left, what I see when I look at that picture is the driveway.
Yeah,
Horrible.
it's like they really could have gotten, you can't even see the front door in it. Like, could we not get a different angle? You know, and can you imagine if they just put like a couple of urns with some big ferns in them?
Yeah.
How much little things like that, right? That matter. So we have, one of my football coaches from Kentucky, he just texted me and said, I'm reading a book by Gary Keller. So anyway, my point is just be more purposeful, right? Be a little more purposeful about what you're doing. And so now we're going to do that. So we are going to go into Command and we are going to create a marketing piece. Now, if you already have one done, You can just cheat and use that. Yeah, I know, Tina's like, yes. But if not, we're gonna work through it, okay? So. Let's see, I don't know if I can, let me see if I can stop sharing this for a second. And if it will let me go to my command, in the show, let's do this. Okay. I'll pull it back up in just a second, guys. I'm gonna try to, oh, that's not the right keyboard. I'll just sign in as Rachel because it's fastest. Okay. So, and then hold on, we come back down here to Zoom. Go back to this. Oh my gosh, so share my screen. This. Okay, now can everyone see Rachel's front page of command?
Yes.
Throw me a thumbs up. Thank you. Okay. So if we're looking here and we're going to go down here into designs, and I just want you all to see all of the little things across the top here. Okay. Notice the addition of video. We did not have that before. Also on these social posts, you know, the neighborhood nurture, you can now download those and share them however you'd like. We used to not be able to download those. So, I mean, when those first came out and I loved them so much, I literally went into my bathroom, turned off all the lights, put a towel under the door, stood there in the dark. I played the neighborhood video on my laptop and recorded it with my cell phone and texted it to clients because we couldn't download it. I was like, seriously, this is our top of the line technology. I'm in my bathroom with a cell phone, but it works, you know, I'm working to do it. Okay, so different design templates and what you can do. And so now we have access to other pieces and different things. So let's just look at, we're going to go to a social post. So these are all things that that are just already in there, that have already been uploaded, pages and pages and pages of things that other people have created that you now have access to. Or you just go down here to this little blue plus sign and we're just going to make it ourselves. So we're just going to do a social post and click next. And they may have something different in the thing that they wanted me to have you do, but this is what we're going to do because it's more relevant to what you need. At least it's on a Tuesday. I normally do these things on Tuesdays when they're doing all the updates and I can't get anything accomplished. So this one right here, I have used, I cannot even tell you how many times, because I love the fact that it is full of light. It's very clean. It's very simple. There aren't a lot of colors, and you can just do a lot with it. So I've used this multiple times. You can use this same graphic if you'd like. It's just a little, looks like a texting message going back between a couple of different people. But over here, you can find images, right? Either things that have already been imported. So if I wanted to add my headshot to this, I just clicked and dragged it. And so let's go back here and undo. Whereas if I went in and said, I want to add a picture, right? Or I want to exchange this with a picture, then it looks a little bit different, right? It doesn't come in all crazy. So even in here, you can now crop, you can do some different things to it. And it's a lot simpler than what it used to be. Then all of your logos. So you just go in and you upload these. And you can upload your team logo. You can upload whatever you like. And it's all, I can't scroll down, but anyway, when you're uploading your images, so this is things from the company that are already in there, or the things that she's put in personally. So here, I'm just going to click on this and it automatically adds it. And then you can also, I make sure that I have my logos in all of the different colors. So make sure you have it in all white, all gray, all black, you know, whatever you want that's gonna look prettier with your post. Like for instance, when I have a post like this, I don't want the red KW because it's distracting. So I'm gonna put like probably the all white, and I'm gonna put it right below my picture there. I mean, I wish I was that beautiful, but we're just gonna pretend like that's me. And so that's, I mean, that's what I would do. I'd put my information out here. I would put the logo down here, but I would make sure that it's all white. This is where the difference in the JPEGs and the PNGs come into play, where the PNG has a clear background and the JPEG would just come in. I've seen people do those before. They just put it in here and it's like on a white block and it's just very distracting. So just make sure you get the PNG. And all of those are on our Facebook pages. You guys excel, I'm sure yours are as well. If not, I know they'll email them to you, but ours are in the file section on Facebook. And so then if you wanted to find a picture from the KWLS, Holly, do you have a listing?
Do I have a list?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just listed at 683 Siebert, S-I-E-B-E-R-T.
B or B?
B as in boy,
Gotcha.
E-R-T.
Okay.
Just hopefully.
Is it Columbus?
It is. It should be live today. Unless it,
Yeah, I not.
I have another one. 5561 STANSBURY.
Here we go. So I'm going to select this pretty little house. And so it pulls in all the pictures from there. So then you can pick whatever you'd like and use it. And when you see things like this, and you're like, oh, you can crop these you all to make it look however you want it to look. So just keep that in mind. You're not confined to, oh, I have to put that picture in here. It has to stay in that shape and format and whatever. You can change it to however you'd like to change it. So has everybody gotten to mess with all this enough that, I mean, you can't break it. Just get in and play with it.
Your library, like, add your color.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that you don't have to.
So there's all types of things, and like you can do that under your assets, or I mean, it's really up to you however you want it done. But for me, I would just go ahead and have everything uploaded so that it's there. And like she said, make sure you have it in all of your different colors and your color palette of what you want, like all of the fonts and things like that to be in, and your backgrounds. You can do all of that here. Does anybody have any questions about any of this? So it's saying, explain that they need to make sure their social media. Oh, okay. So to make sure that everything is connected properly on our YouTube channel, and for you all that are on here, let me see if I can type it in the chat. Where can I even access the chat here? Why isn't it popping up? Why won't the chat come to me? Might have to come up here. Where is it? Stop sharing, I bet. It usually pops down from up here. Anyway. Okay. So, oh, let's see this. Oh, the session on Monday, Melody, is, and I'm sorry, this is a little late that I'm answering this. The session that's on Monday from 1 to 3, that's actually a follow-up class for the business planning clinic. That's not Ignite, so I didn't want to, that was probably confusing when I said that. So our website here is capitalpartnerscareer.com. And if you go to that website, it will link you to our calendar, but the main thing is our YouTube channel. And on our YouTube channel, there is a video that I did with Raquel Ludaway and her virtual assistant. And we walked through a Facebook ad of how we did it. And so we talk about just like from beginning to end, what that looks like to create an ad through command, which is a little different than what Samantha was talking about earlier. So also, you need to make sure that your social media is connected. So let's come back here. Don't save. So Rachel won't get mad at me for messing up her stuff. I don't know that I've ever seen her mad, by the way. She's very patient, and yeah, she is. So if we were talking about how we were gonna connect some things. Oh, I wonder if hers is different. Shoot.
While you're doing that, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If there's ever a time that you wouldn't want to put your logo or your picture on a post? I mean, do you feel like it has to be consistent that every time you're putting your logo or your picture?
I mean,
or-
it depends on what your, let me see. I'm just gonna,
Because sometimes they
You all
feel like,
tonight.
well, you're screaming the same thing over and over.
right.
Whatever it is.
For me, when I'm doing the Facebook ads, and I'm gonna, okay, here we go. So before we get to that, I'm gonna finish this one real quick, just so you see. So when it talks about connecting your pages, that's where you're gonna go into your settings, and everything's gonna pop up to make sure that you have everything connected. Or probably the easiest place is to click on Marketplace, and all of the things that you can connect will come up there. And it's literally just a click a button and connect of what you want to do. So make sure that your Facebook page is connected to Command. And when you go through your Kelly guide, it'll do all of that. And it'll set all of that. So I'm going to log out of her, and I'm going to log into mine so that I can show you all what Tina just asked. Was, is there ever a time where you don't want to put your, I think that's right, picture, logo, all of those things on every single marketing piece? And so for me, let me see.
You can get it if you're running an
What is this?
app. Other posts.
What is this? Oh my God. Did you all just see what just happened? Well, I did it that time. That was weird. Okay, are you all seeing my command now that says welcome home, Kim?
Yes.
Okay, because sometimes it does weird things. So what I wanted to show you on mine is when I am doing ad campaigns, I used to put my logo as the picture for my ads in my ad campaigns. And so, but when I started doing these paid ads and I realized, I'm gonna move this up top here. And I realized, so generally my sweet spot is this little, well, it's not showing, but anyway, 6 days, $5 a day, or 5 days, $6 a day. For whatever reason, the $30 thing was getting us, it was just our sweet spot. So that's what we were doing. And so, but what I realized is once I started looking at this and I saw how many impressions. So when we're looking at this, the number of impressions, 4,000, 2,900, 3,900, 3,900, I realized, okay, that's how many people are scrolling through their phone and my ad is going through there somehow, some way. And then I realized my logo, people don't recognize my logo. They don't know what that is, but they do recognize my face. So that's when I went through and I changed it. So I would say, Tina, it depends on, I'm going to edit this just
Well,
so
in
you.
those kind of ad situations, yeah, you want something. I'm just talking about a regular post that you might be doing for Instagram or Facebook or something.
Yeah, on those, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't do my face and stuff like that, because especially if it's like already on my page, like they know
Right.
it's me. So I don't do those things, but see here, like I changed that to my headshots. Yeah, so that when they're scrolling through, that's what they see. And I also use emojis in every single thing that I do. And I used to, I ran an ad on it was like a $680,000 house. And I thought, oh, emojis are childish or whatever. I'm not gonna do those on this. I did not get the same interaction on that ad as I normally did. So little things like that, is just play around with it and see what is gonna work best, really. What questions do you all have about any of that? Okay, so let's see if you guys can go in now. Whoever has a laptop with them, make a social post. I have a laptop if anybody wants to use it. Have you done one yet, Nicole? Okay, so y'all are good.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying
Okay, good. No, you're fine. I mean, and that's part of it. It's just like learning different tricks, you know, different things that different people are doing. What are some of the things, have you all done any specific ads or posts that you feel like you've gotten a lot of interaction from or had success with?
Yeah, I can talk about one of mine. I had one that was very successful. It's a first-time homebuyers one or a homebuyers education one. So I have a homebuyers kind of guide. So it's advertising a free homebuyers guide to get started, and that's gotten me a lot of first-time homebuyers. And a lot of people that may have not bought a house in the past 20 years that have no idea what the game looks like. So I get a lot of leads from that, and that's gotten turned into a lot of quality leads.
Okay, somebody's gonna have to repeat that for me. I can't hear very well, and I didn't hear anything she said. It was sort of muffled. Did anybody hear what she said?
Can you hear me better now?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I dropped one of my headpieces, and apparently that's the one with the speaker in it. Sorry.
We're like running around. I'm trying to like I don't know.
Sorry. So what I did was I created a ad basically advertising to first-time home buyers and those who have not bought a home in the past, 10, 20 years that have no idea what they're doing, what it looks like, where to get started. And so it was advertising a free home buyer's guide. And I created a home buyer's guide, and I've gotten a lot of people from that one and a lot of quality buyers from that one, kind of all over the board. And like I said, it's been mostly a mix between first-time home buyers and a lot of people that probably 60 years plus that have lived in the same home for 30, 40 years, don't know where to start. And so I send them out that guide, and then I follow up with them. Hey, did you have time to look through this? Wanted to touch base, and I've gotten quite a few leads from that one.
Nice. And how did you decide where to send those? How did you get lists?
That was completely a Facebook ad. It was completely a Facebook ad that I threw. That one I did not put any limitations on. I kind of mix it up between if I want to aim my marketing towards those that have looked at Zillow, those type of things, and some of those more general ones where people aren't really sure, they don't really know if they're going to look for a house, but it kind of gets that idea in their head, and they're like, okay, well, once they look through the guide, they're like, oh, this is a little bit more reasonable than I thought. And so a couple of those were like, I'm going to buy in 2 years. I sent the guide, and they're like, okay, I'm actually ready to buy next month.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. So in the ad, did it redirect them to the guide, or did they have to like type in their information for you to send them a copy of it?
They had to type in the information so I could email them guide.
Nice. That's great. That's a great idea. Thank you. So you aren't limited. I think when Facebook ads came out, we all felt really limited to, oh, these are just for listings. And so that's with Command. What she's talking about that she's doing is just like through Facebook. But there's just all types of different things that you can do that are super effective. It's just a matter of, again, finding the thing that you like, finding the sweet spot, and just pound it to death. I mean, I would. That first time home buyers thing, I would be running that ad every month. Like that's phenomenal. Okay. So I think everybody here has made a piece in designs, and if they have not, then we're going to be doing some of that fun hands-on stuff on Monday, because we're going to have everybody make sure they have their laptops. Okay, so hopefully that was somewhat helpful. And sorry, I have to come out of all this, which I can't figure out how to do, and then go into a new share screen. I think I have to open this back up and then share this. Maybe. We'll see. Let's see what we got. Okay, are we back on the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So. There we go. Okay, so just thinking about how you create these pieces, what they need to look like, what they don't need to look like, I think is also a big piece of that, of what does not need to be in there. Just write down, or maybe you've already written down some of the things that you're thinking, okay, I need to be more mindful of this, or I need to stop doing this, or I need to do something different. What are some of your takeaways?
Prospecting is the most important thing. And marketing needs to be consistent.
Yeah. I mean, that's huge. I know for me personally, just as a realtor, the consistency piece is what is so hard. Because when you're slower, you can do those types of things, right? And then you get busy and you don't have the time to keep doing those things you were doing that got you the business to get you busy. So I love doing this right now because we're going into the holidays when a lot of people aren't out working as much. We're probably about to have another little, let's shut down a little bit and spend some time at home, right? So that is a perfect time for you to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to create these pieces. I'm going to make that home buyer guide that Samantha was talking about. I'm going to make that, and I know that's going to be one post every single month, right? I'm going to go ahead and create some templates, or I'm going to go ahead and create a newsletter, whatever you're going to do, so that you already have that done. So that, and on Monday, we're going to be looking at a social media calendar, like a posting schedule. And so once you have that, then you have ideas for content, right? Like one of the things is holidays. You could go ahead and make those for the whole year. You know when the holidays are going to be, right? So go ahead and have all those pieces made now when you're a little bit slower. And that way it'll help with that consistency piece of, because if you don't have to stop and make it from scratch, it's much more likely to happen. Let's see, what else? Any other ahas, any other takeaways of things that you feel like you need to be doing a little bit differently? All right, we're going to move on. We're going to bust through this. Okay, so this is, I love this. It's old school. We should be doing this already. And it is what it is. So 10 contacts added. So this is, I'm assuming that's daily, but it's probably weekly. If we talk about what we were doing with Business Planning Clinic, we took the whole calendar for 2021. We took out all the holidays, we took out vacation time, yada, yada, yada. And we ended up with how many days in the year we were going to be working. And then we divided that number into 500 because we wanted to add 500 contacts to our database throughout the year. And we came up with right around 2 contacts per day that we need to be adding to our database. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking you're working a 5-day week, so let's just say that's 10 contacts that need to be added every week. And one of the biggest things I tell everyone is just go to your social media pages, because everybody that you're friends with on Facebook or that you follow on Instagram or whatever, you don't have all those people in your database, and you should. So that's the first thing. One of the other key things that I told you guys about a couple of weeks ago is in my social media, like specifically Facebook, I went through and I deleted like as many realtors as I possibly could. So I kept some of the top producers in there, the people that I'm really good friends with, but I had a little over 300 random realtors in there that I had just accepted their friend requests, or I friend requested them when I first got into business or whatever, or somebody you do a co-op deal with, whatever. And so what ended up happening was I would do a post on like a new listing or whatever, and 150 agents would like it. And so after that happens so many times, Facebook pushes, that algorithm will push your content to the people that are liking it the most. Well, I don't want all my stuff going to realtors, so I got rid of them. So you do whatever you want to do. You don't have to do what I do, but that's just one of the things. So we talk about 10 contacts added. Make sure that's not realtors. You want real people that are actually going to use you and work with you. 10 conversations a day. How hard is that? So let's just start out with simple Simple, right? So maybe it's comments on a post, or maybe it's reaching out to someone with a DM or a text message or whatever, but just 10 of those a day. I always sit down over the holidays and I just like text out like a happy holiday thing directly from my phone. Now, you can still do that stuff through command, that's fine. But there are some tight people in my circle that I send stuff to directly from my phone, right? We can interact back and forth with a text message. And I mean, I did that at Easter and I ended up getting 6 transactions from that. And I just made a little thing on my phone of a happy Easter from the Buckners and sent it out. And I mean, literally had multiple people reach out to us from that, where they just forgotten, right? Or they didn't know where I lived, or they didn't know where I was, or whatever. So little things like that. So 10 handwritten notes. Just go with the week. It doesn't have to be every day, right? But just some handwritten notes. I love that from the open house. That's a great idea. Just reaching out to people and inviting them to things, or saying hi, or when you see that they've had something going on Facebook, just a note thinking about you, right? They're all.
One of the things that I did, and some people said, oh, I think that's crazy. When everything was shut down and all of that, and we were halfway through the year, I went and got a lottery ticket for $1 that was like Monopoly or Good Luck or whatever. And I wrote a handwritten note, didn't put my business card in it or anything, but I went through my whole database and I sent them a note and said, I hope the second half of 2020 is great for you. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of good luck. And signed my name. In the first batch of 25 people that I sent it to, 10 people called me and said, that made my day.
Oh.
That was so nice. It wasn't on a Keller Williams card or anything. I went to Target and I got a whole box. I got boxes of just cards and I hand wrote them. I didn't even I just put my home address on it. I didn't even put Keller Williams address, anything like that. I just put my home address. And of the first 25, 10 people called me.
That's nuts.
Now, nobody won any money, but it was still, they were like, that was the funniest thing. That was so nice.
It's the idea.
It is, it's just doing something different that someone else is not doing.
And I think that's where we overthink things, you know, and it's like, oh, well, what if they don't win? What if they don't gamble? Or what if they don't, you know, all these what ifs, just do it.
Yeah.
People just appreciate the gesture that you did that, you
Just
know?
thanks for thinking about me.
Yeah. So that's great. I love that idea. And then 10 previews per week, which is exactly what I was talking about earlier. You don't have to physically go to them, but know what's out there. Be aware of what's going on in certain neighborhoods or in certain areas, right? And just by looking at those homes online, you can tell so much. Look at those daily reports. I don't know anything about your all's MLS, but I'm sure you have them. I know we have them in Lexington, so it's just like a little daily report, a daily snapshot of what goes on. Just read it. Okay, so scripts. There are some really good scripts in here, and I had a hard time finding them. So I wanted to show you all where to find these because, well, shoot, here we go again. Let me go with the stop screen share and go back to my KW Connect real fast. Let's see. Because I kind of had to go around beat around the bush a little bit to find these. So, oh good, I'm in here. Okay, so let me go back to this and here and share my screen and share this. Sorry, I have to go back and forth a bajillion times, but here you go. So this is just, I just went to mykw.kw.com, your regular login. Bless you, Samantha. And and so when you go up here to education, it's going to take you to Connect. And Ignite is already on here. So we are doing the Ignite 2.0 lab. So you would just click on that. And then right here where it says materials, so there's this little bar that has all this jazz, and you just go to materials. And then all the materials pop up here. And so over here on the student side are where all of your files are, and you can download all of these things. And it's Ignite Elementals. And it's not right here. It's in a different place. Ignite Elementals. Maybe it's in the participant guide. You all don't have the scripts in your guide, do you? Shoot. And I wrote down, I had a note on my desk to do a Loom, to put this out before class so that you all could find it, because I was like, it was so hard to find. And now here I am, like, I can't find it again. But it is in the Elementals piece. So there's Ignite Spark, and then there's Ignite Elementals. And I know it's not in the marketing guide. It literally says it's a script guide. Oh, here, Ignite Toolkit zip. So you download the whole toolkit, and then when you open that up, come on, don't yell at me. Yeah, it's like, wait. I'm like, I don't want to wait. Yeah, I'm patient, crazy. And then the scripts are right here, the Ignite Spark script book. So there's Elemental script book, and then there's the Ignite Spark script book. But just the main thing to know is that when you're here, you have to download the toolkit, which is at the very bottom, and then all the scripts are in there. And I actually printed this out because I'm old school, and that's how I roll. And so they talk about the do not call list and what to do and what not to do. But one of the biggest changes that I have seen just since I've been into business, the very first script that they talk about is working with sellers. And let me go back to this where we were, yeah. And a lot of it now is really about asking questions. Asking questions, making sure that you have a really full understanding of what the client needs. And when I'm listening to Brendan Kane's book right now. It's called Hook Point. It's the book that he wrote after 1 million followers. And he was talking about how so many people in the marketing world, when they go in for an interview or they're trying to, pitch whatever deal they're doing, they have this memorized presentation ready. Now, and he says how you need to be really aware of what your client really needs and what they really want. And if you have this memorized pitch ready, that sometimes it's hard for people to veer off of that. So that being said, I am one of those people that I can have a total memorized presentation and walk in and realize my audience is very different, and I can shift very quickly. But I've done this for 20 years almost. So of doing some type of teaching, training, presenting, right? But if that's something that you've not done before and you're not really good at pivoting, then you need to get really good at asking questions. So a perfect example, some buyers that I was working with one time, they were really good friends, and they kept saying, the husband specifically kept saying, we need a basement, we need a basement, we really need a basement. And immediately I'm thinking, Gary wants a man cave, right? So we're looking and we're looking and we're looking, and we can't find them anything. We cannot find anything. And we're talking about, we're going to build. And this was like 6 years ago. We're going to build. And so then we start talking about models and what we're looking at, and basement. That's all I keep saying, basement. And finally, we're sitting in this house because, we've looked at like 30 houses and it's not working, right? And finally, I'm like, Gary, what is it about a basement, right? Like, what specifically are you looking for in a basement? What are you going to be using it for? And he goes, well, we have so much shit. That's what he said, not me, right? That we need a place to put it. So there were so many models that had 3-car garages or extra deep garages or areas with extra storage, or there were so many options, walk-in attic spaces, right? That now all of a sudden it just opened up all of our options. And within a week, they were under contract in the house. But I didn't ask the right questions, right? I thought I knew him so well that, they've got 2 little kids and he's looking for a place to get away. And
you thought he needed a man.
I thought he needed a man.
And really, they needed an unfinished.
They just needed some space to store stuff. And Angela wasn't the one saying it. Gary was the one saying it. So the wife wasn't saying we need a basement. The husband was saying, I gotta have a basement. We gotta have a basement. And so because I just assumed instead of stopping and asking questions, and I mean, I finally asked questions when I was exhausted and had to ask questions, right? But if you start learning how to ask really good questions, it will make your job a lot easier. So it's so funny. They said the very first thing is number one, ask lots of questions. Number two, listen more than you talk. And this is something that when I was going through certification for MAPS, all the coaches, we had to get on like pretend coaching calls with people, and we had to record them and turn them in, and that's how we got graded. And I realized very quickly, I'm talking way too much. And some of the best coaching calls or coaching sessions that I've ever had have been the ones where I asked sometimes one really good question and the client gets really quiet and you just shut up. Just shut up. No matter how hard you want to talk, no matter how much you know what you're about to say is wonderful and they need to hear it so bad and I can't wait to just shut up. So that's been the biggest thing when I'm sitting in a listing appointment is I see the word wait over their head, right? Why am I talking? W-A-I-T. Why am I talking? Am I trying to show how much I know? Am I trying to show how great I am, right? Or whatever. But if you just will be quiet and let them talk, they will feel so connected to you that you listened to them, that they were heard, right? If you will just do that, it's huge. So whether you're listening to Brendan Kane talk about how to market, or you're listening to Chris Voss, he's talking about how to negotiate, or whatever, whoever it is that you're learning from, or John Maxwell, he's phenomenal asking great questions. Just listen more than you talk. So these scripts are wonderful, and it is nice. You need them. You need to have a structure. You need to have a presentation, and you need to know how to ask really good questions. So, for instance, one of my questions that I love now, that was so awkward when I first started using it, but in coaching, it's one of the things that I would ask. So if I'm having a conversation with Lisa and I say, okay, Lisa, what are your goals for 2021? And she says, well, I want to sell 24 houses. Okay, you want to sell 24 houses. Why? Well, I really want to make sure I sell 2 every month. Well, okay, why do you need to sell 2 every month? Well, whatever, she gives me her reasons. And then my money question that I come in with is, who all is affected by that decision? Who all is affected by that goal? Who else is affected if you don't hit that goal, right? That was a question I used on Glenn before you came into his world, right? It's like, who else is affected? Like, you might be okay with that, but who else isn't? So when you're talking to your client and they're saying, well, I want to get my house on the market as quickly as possible. Okay, who else is involved in that decision? Okay, well, I work out of town, for me, when I'm selling my house in Chicago. I work out of town all week. I'm only home on the weekends. Okay, so who else is going to be getting this house ready to sell? Who else do I need to be talking to? Right? Ask questions that aren't just about the comps in the neighborhood and how quick you're going to sell their house. Ask questions. What are some good questions that you all had luck with? Anybody have a good question that really like a good one is always, why is that important to you? Right? Well, I'll say, okay, what's your timeline? Mrs. Seller, what's your timeline? Well, I mean, we need to have this house in the market in 30 days because we need to be in wherever we're going, right? We need to be in Alabama by February. Why is February important? Don't just write down February and go ahead and start asking other questions. What's important about February? And they tell you, because now all of a sudden you're peeling away those layers and you're getting a little deeper of what matters to them, right? You're getting a little more personal. Okay, well, we want to be there, whatever, before school starts. Why is it important that you get there before school starts? Well, I know right? Like I know they want to get their kids in school and get them enrolled before school starts. If you ask them why, all of a sudden it's, we want to keep our family together. We want to make sure that the girls get to know friends before, right? Like then you start to get personal. So it's asking the right questions. Okay, so they want me to show you the where to find your listing presentations. Have you all seen these? Where to find the listing presentations and buyer presentations. Let's see. I'm not still on command. Dang on it. Oh, here we go. Okay, can you all see my command screen now? It's on paid ads. Are you all seeing that? Could Samantha or Brian shake your head or throw a thumb up or something? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, so when you are in your, let's go down here to designs and go to print. And then we're going to go to add. And so I'm still going to keep it on print and next. And you're going to have all these choices over here. They're going to pop up of topics or categories. And so let's go with listings. And there's your listing presentation. And so there are all different templates now that you can choose. And so this is where, if you have already filled out your Kelly guide and done all of your marketing and you filled all of that out, your picture's there and your email's there and all of your stuff is there, all of that will integrate and link into this, and you won't need to do it from scratch. You can right now go ahead and do it, right? Like you can upload a picture, you can upload your logos, whatever you want it to do, and you can go ahead and start working on that. You don't have to wait on all that stuff to syndicate. I mean, it takes a little bit longer, but if you want to do it, just do it. I really like the simpler thing. When I am doing a listing presentation, I am always going to pull a picture from their Facebook page. And it might be a picture of them cooking in their kitchen with their kids, whatever, but I pull that and that's what I put there. So you all do what you want to do. We have done before, we just pulled a front picture of the house that was on maybe the PBA or property value site or whatever. But if I can find something personal to put here, that's what I do. And then I always put the family's name on the front. So that's just something that I add. So, but just so that you all know where these things are. And same thing when you go into buyer. Oh, I got a little quick happy. There's your buyer presentation. And so you want to have these filled out. These are things, the buyer presentation, those are things that I would have filled out and a version of the listing presentation. I would have like a little mini version of those filled out and have those with you when you do open houses. I had a lady one time that came in from another town and she came into an open house and I had these packets put together and it was just folders and it was like a map of the city and our visitor center downtown had these little brochures, little whatever, trifold brochures, you know, that had just information about things going on in Lexington. It had that in there. I did like a little map, like a home buyer's road map. It was just one page, you know, it's just like cute little graphics. And I had this whole thing put together. And so when they came in and they did not have a realtor, I would give them that folder. And she called me when she left and said, you know, I've gone to open houses for probably a month and no one's ever given me anything like this. And I ended up working with them and finding her a house. So just little things like that that are going to set you apart. And it's just kind of fun to do. So, but that's where you find these things. Let's see. Pass it through here. What questions do you all have so far of any of this? Do you all use these command guides? Do you use the buyer presentation, seller presentation? Okay, Brian does. Does anybody else use them? Good. Good.
Do you feel like if you're in a competing situation for a listing, it's another KW agent, that your listing presentations aren't unique enough?
Yeah, I mean, and it just depends, you know, I mean, it depends on what you do, because you can add to these and make some things look different. And I always do that, even if I'm not going to be up against somebody else. I don't know. I'm just always, I'm very paranoid about that, especially like in Lexington. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in Lexington, there's like 500 Keller Williams agents, 400 Keller Williams agents, whatever, in that area, you know, so it's always about trying to make it look a little different.
So what kinds of things do you add?
So it depends. So we always put the little Lexington guide in there now. So there's like a page of kind of what the different areas in Lexington look like. There's a page of what to do in Lexington. So it's almost like if someone were moving here, moving for the first time, we would put something like that in there. There's always going to be like a picture of the team or introductions to different people in there that are added. So maybe in between pages, there's going to be a few different things just to break it up. Or some of them will just like totally change altogether. I don't have it on mine. Brittany has it on her laptop. Anyway, for instance, one of the pages, we would just change the order. So we had like a little map. It's driving me crazy. I don't have it. I'm wondering if I have like a snapshot or something on my phone.
But you kind of stick with the same template.
Yes, but you can just move it around a little bit. Sometimes we change the colors, but we do. We try to switch it up to make it look a little bit different than what it. I never use the exact template that's on here. People would tell you to use it. Don't reinvent the wheel, but I just mix it up. Like even the buying a home fears versus facts, like I would change that picture. I would maybe keep the words, but I would change the picture. So I don't know, just different things. I'm trying to think of, it's driving me nuts because I can't articulate what I'm trying to think of. But for instance, one of the pages that was on there, it had like things about where you could do basically a neighborhood snapshot. And so we changed the neighborhood snapshot around to look, just to customize it a little bit more for us. It was kind of the same layout, but if you put the two up side by side, they look really different. So just little things like that to switch it up, if that makes sense. And sometimes I'll do things in here, and sometimes I'll do it in Canva and then upload it and add it, but I just want it to look a little bit different. But I love the format of these, so they're nice to use. Anybody else have questions on those or things that they use or that they don't use? I love these guides. Is this what you used, Samantha, when you did your ad? Did you use one of these home buyer guides or did you do a custom one?
So my team has one that's customized to our team. So I've been using that one.
Yeah.
But actually I want to go in, I'm pulling up my command now because I want to go into these designs and start doing things like the neighborhood pages. I like that idea of adding stuff like that.
Yeah, they're really pretty. I mean, they're beautiful presentations. So what they're talking about in your scripts is really to, when you're going over the listing presentations, to review the pre-listing packet, you know, look at all those types of things. I have a lady that I coach up in Illinois, and she does a two-step listing process. So she goes on a pre-listing and then she does a listing. And so she always sends a packet of things first, and then she shows up for the listing appointment and does that. So she does basically what we call a two-step listing presentation. And so some of these scripts of how to deliver a 10+ experience, it says, and this is all in this script book if you all download it. It says, I'd like for you to have a great experience selling your home. And that begins with me being very clear on what your expectations are. So I'd like to ask you about that, okay? And so then there's all these questions for you to ask them. And then it's like, thank you for your honesty. Knowing how to deliver a 10+ experience helps me serve you in the best way possible. So then there's a place in here that says for you to tell them a little bit about yourself. My favorite part in here is where you help them see their home through the eyes of a buyer. Because you have some people that just don't listen, right? They love their home and they love their red walls or their green walls or their wallpaper. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. You just have to neutralize it and make it something that as many people as possible would like, right? So for me, when I'm having that conversation with them, it's a lot about how different people eat, right? We all eat differently, and some of us like things really salty, some of us like things really spicy. But you can like make a meal that everyone would like, and then you can offer up if they want salt or pepper or sauce, right? Like you can always have that. It doesn't mean you can't have it. It just means we need to prepare it so everyone can eat it, right? And it's the same way with your house. We need to make sure that it's just so neutral and plain and boring that people can visualize. Because for the most part, people are very simple, right? They think very simply. When they see your home, if there are too many things, just like that very first picture we looked at, they can't see past all that. They need it simple. So you're going to look at this and you're going to think your house is bare. You're going to think it's so ugly and so bare and so boring. And I promise you it's not. And so the very first key to that is when they get their listing pictures back and they're like, oh my gosh, the pictures look so great.
They are removing, right?
Yeah, I know, that's always the best, right? But I want to buy this house. They always, that's the funny thing. I'm like, haha, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like getting them to realize that. And so one of the things that we would do when we would show up, we go for the listing appointment, we tell them all the things to do. We always had an appointment between that and the pictures. So we went back, we just realized it sucks to have that extra appointment, but it's gonna save us a lot of time in the long run, because 9 times out of 10, they are not ready, or they're not ready how we would want them to be ready. And so we go in and I keep a few things. So I keep a white king size comforter and some big king size pillows. And then I keep a queen set and it's gray. And so we keep that and a bunch of different throw pillows, because just bedding alone makes a world of difference. And it does. And so I'm just waiting for people to start like checking my listings and being like, wait a minute, that's the same thing. And it really is. We just had 2 recently that we used it all in. But it's something that people don't want to spend a lot of money on. And their bedding is always just like a hot mess. It just is. And they're always embarrassed. They're like, oh my gosh, how do you get all these pillows away? And I'm like, we all do. All of our crap looks like that, but you're selling your house. Your slobbery pillow can't be on the bed when we're trying to sell a house, right? So it's no different than like you're dating and you're trying to find your spouse and you're looking hot and looking great. You do the lashes and you do the hair, and then after you're married for 10 years, you don't do those things every day, right? But now we're going back on the market. So we gotta put on the eyelashes. So we just joke about it and make it funny. I always go buy towels. So I keep a bin full of white towels. I have some that are sheet size towels, like, nice bath towels. And then I have standard size towels, hand towels, and washcloths. That way, no matter what they have, we just go in there with our bin, make it look pretty, take the pictures, and out we go, right? Like it just, little things like that make a big difference. So anyway, that's just a little tip that we go in between the pictures. And the towels and stuff, we normally don't. We take those the day of. So we don't leave anything, because if people have dogs and dog hair gets on when they have kids or, whatever, it happens. So then the next thing that they talk about is pricing. Do you all have any like major scripts that you use when you're talking about how to price a home? Because keep in mind, when you put this house on the market, you are marketing yourself as a listing agent. So whatever happens with this listing is going to come into play at your next listing appointment, right? If this house stays on the market for a year, or it sells for $50,000 less than you listed it for, right? All those things. So you've got to think of this as a marketing opportunity for you for your next listing. So what are some of the things that you use when you come in with comps? And let's just say you say the house is worth $300,000 and the sellers want to list for $325,000. What's your script?
What did you say?
The comp's 300 max. 300 is a gift. That's a phrase I use all the time. That is a gift.
I actually had this happen to me just recently.
Okay.
Except it was more than 25,000. They wanted to list it 100,000 more than it was worth.
Oh, it's no big deal at all.
Yeah, and so I actually really had to sit with him and go through each comp, and show him kind of every photo, and in like the nicest way possible. Just say, hey, this is what people are spending money on, and it's still less than what you think you should get for yours. So it's definitely a stressful meeting.
It is, and it's hard to tell someone that their house is not worth as much as they think it is.
Well, and then when I asked him why he kept insisting on this price, because he'd said it a lot via text, and when I met with him in person, he was, so where is this price coming from that you're wanting? Is it a need? Is it what you owe? Is it this or that? And at the end of the day, it just goes, oh no, it's just a feeling of what I think it's worth. And it's like, well, numbers don't lie.
Yeah,
I think as long as you're really prepared with good, solid comps, it speaks volumes.
yeah.
But
And
then-
we don't determine the market, right? Right? Like we don't get to, if we could determine the market, we would all be millionaires, right? Our job is just to translate it, right? And understand it. We don't get to dictate what it does or does not do. So what did you do when you came to that? Were you able to get him down any, or how did that play out?
He's thinking about it, and he's honestly trying to do some improvements to the house to at least bring it up to value. But it's definitely going to be a nurture type lead where I just
Yeah.
kind of stay in touch with him.
Yeah.
So I think he heard me. But sometimes you have to be polite but brutal at the same time and just be very, very honest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think of it a lot from a medical perspective, which I know that sounds crazy, but it's how I think of it. Okay, when I'm sitting down and I'm having a conversation with someone, and I know this is going to be a tough conversation to tell this person that their house is worth significantly less than it is, and my job is to sell their home. That is my job. So if I were a physician and I were giving a patient some really bad news or a really tough diagnosis, my job is to help cure them or make them more comfortable or get them as healthy as I possibly can. And by lying to them and not telling them the whole truth, because it's hard to say, is not going to help them. And so that's what I say to people. You know, whenever we come to that differential on what that looks like with price, I say to them, you are hiring me to sell your home. You have a beautiful home in a beautiful location. And my job is to share my expertise with you. And this is what's helped me, or what has worked for me hundreds of times. So this is what it looks like. And what we could do is we could oversell it, right? Like we could put it on the market $75,000 above list price. And in this climate today, Mr. Seller, homes are selling pretty quickly. If we're priced right and we're in the right condition, we position ourselves well, when we hit the market, we're going to sell fairly quickly. So what's going to happen is if we're so overpriced that we aren't even getting looks, right? People don't even want to come and look at the house. And here we are 30 days later and we're still on the market. Now there's a stigma to your property.
And you lost all this fire.
Yeah, not now. Not only are we fighting against price, now we're fighting against our reputation.
That's basically exactly what I told him is, after a while, being overpriced, so many people are going to see it. So many agents are going to see it. They're going to disregard it because it's been on there so long with no change that they're going to assume you're too stubborn to even negotiate. And they're not even going to try and get you a buyer. They're just going to move.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. Oh, it's so
I
frustrating.
always make the comment sometimes that I would rather, instead of the seller fighting with one buyer over price, why don't you let the sellers fight against each other? So if you market it at, and I always say, I'm here to tell you the truth. I do this all day. I look at numbers all day. These are not my numbers. This is what the market is. This is what's going on in the market.
Yeah.
And the thing is that if we put it at market value and it's at 200,000, but you want 225, they may come in and be fighting against each other for the house because the house looks so great that you may get 230 for it.
Right.
But if we go out at 225, you forgot about all the people, that were at the 200 price point, and just kind of look at things a little bit different like that. The numbers are the numbers.
It is.
At the end.
Yeah, you have to stay in the logic and out of the emotion. Stay in the logic. People say, because I've had people sit and cry. I brought my babies home in this house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know, and it's been an amazing house, and I'm so glad that you've gotten to do that, right? It's beautiful. And someone else is going to bring their babies home in this house. you know, it's a house. You're gonna make a whole new set of memories somewhere else, right? But it's figuring out how to get out of that
Very
emotion.
personal, very personal.
Yeah, because once they do that, it's like, oh, toast, right? I
Well,
want 50 grand.
also too, you can always say, when you're listing the property, please understand this is your home, but the minute we put this on the market, this is no longer your home, it's a
Yeah.
house.
Yeah,
It's a house for sale, and your new memories are coming after this.
Yep.
And when you say that, sometimes people look at you and go, what do you mean? It is our home. No, it's
Yeah.
a house you're selling, your
open
house.
to the public. Literally. Okay, so this is one of the scripts in here. I want to know what you all think about this. We're gonna wrap up in just a minute. The most important decision, so this is, they're talking to the seller. Okay, Mr. Seller, the most important decision you will make is where you will price your property. Pricing your home at fair market value will attract more buyers. Attracting more buyers normally results in a higher purchase price. Overpricing your home results in a longer market time and possibly a lower price. Would you like to price your property to sell quickly, or will you price your property where it could take longer to sell? The choice is yours. What would you like to do? How do you all feel about that?
It's accurate.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Well, it's straightforward, but in Brian's case, if he says, okay, you're wanting to sell it for 100,000 more, well, fine, I'll list it. It's just gonna take us longer to sell it. Is it ever gonna sell for $100,000 more?
Well,
No.
which is why I didn't do it, because you can't even say that because it won't sell. And there's
Yeah.
a misconception that, one, a lot of sellers forget that the property still has to appraise even if they're offered more for it, unless somebody really does have that cash. And the make me move now kind of offers are not as common as people think. And the house really does have to be special for that to occur. And there's a lot of people who think their house is that special, and
I think that the verbiage is a little bit too matter of fact. Because if this is your first conversation with them and you're in a presentation, you want them to feel like this is, you're part of their team, we're on a team. Ultimately, it's your decision, but not to just say, this is it, what do you do?
Well, yeah, because I think if you give them that choice, I mean, it's fine. I'm sure you could tweak that a little bit, but I just feel like you're kind of pigeonholing yourself a little bit if you say something like that, because just because we take long to sell does not mean it's ever going to sell for that. So I would just be careful with that. So the last thing that they really want you all to do is to pull out a blank plan your day page from the toolkit. So that toolkit that I showed you where to download, there is it's called Create Your Success List, or it's a plan your day page. And basically, you want to make sure that you're putting in there time for those conversations, looking at the houses, writing out the cards, right? All those things, that you're blocking time in there. And right now, I would block time for marketing. I would go ahead and start, what are some of these pieces that I'm going to make? Or what are some text messages that I'm going to put together? What's that going to look like? So just start thinking about those things and how you're going to block it out and what you're going to do with it. And by doing that, I feel like it kind of just ties it down on the end, instead of just like leaving here and going, yeah, I'll think about those things, but it's actually doing it, right? And putting it into play. But for sure, go in and download those tools, because I think the script thing is really good. There's some phenomenal scripts in here. I mean, this is like 24, 25 pages long of different scripts. So super good stuff. So what are your thoughts? What are some of your biggest takeaways from today? What are you going to be doing a little bit differently?
utilizing command more, just trying to learn more through it.
Can you say it real loud, Brian?
No, just trying to learn more through command and take advantage of what's there. I think it's really intimidating that there's so much on there sometimes to explore.
There is, and it can be overwhelming. You know, it's like when there's so much, it's where do you even start? But I think starting with those seller presentations and buyer presentations, like just hearing what Samantha said, I would probably go through that buyer presentation, tweak it how you would like it, and then put together an ad of what that would look like, and have those two pieces ready and just start with that, right? Just start with baby steps of one specific thing instead of trying to eat it all at the same time.
yeah, diversify the type of advertising.
Yeah. Anything else?
I liked your tip for handout that,
Mm-hmm.
the trifold
I did
and
too.
the little.
Yeah, it's just a little folder.
Folder.
I just got one of the
Yeah,
KW.
yeah.
Yeah, I just got those KW folders and just stuck things down in there. And it wasn't nearly as fancy as this cute little thing, but you know, you can do some really creative stuff. Yeah, good.
You could have different ones too, people who are new to the area, people who've been there for a while.
Mhm. Absolutely.
I mean, and there's a lot of new stuff like the North Market is moving to Dublin, where it's usually downtown, so people that live in the suburbs can now go to the North Market. So you can, you know, advertise those new things that are, you don't always have to go downtown to get all that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. It's just being aware and sharing. I think that, again, it goes back to we overthink things of content, what we should or shouldn't do. And it's like, if it's something that you're going to like and you're going to appreciate, just do it. You know, we were doing like a giveaway one time, and I think it was, we decided on like a $50 gift card to Target. And I mean, we went back and forth over, should it be a restaurant gift card? Should it be this? Should it be that? I mean, like all the thought, and I was like, everybody loves Target, just do it. Like everybody loves Target. I mean, there's something wrong with you if you don't go to Target. Like everybody likes to get the gift card, you know? So I think it's the same thing. It's like we just overthink it. Just do it. Just do it. Good.
Link again.
Thank you all. I appreciate you all coming today. I hope you got a little bit out of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.
Hey, Kim,
Yes, ma'am.
question. Is this the toolkit? I found one script in there. Is it a different, are there different toolkits?
No, it should be a, hold on, I'll show you. It's because it's in this and stuff here.
So that's, maybe that, it's not saying